that you guys do put your name on it. So if it is lost, we know who it belongs to. What we are doing is we're making you're doing problems of adding and subtracting of integers, and then creating an ordered pair of those, and then charting them on the coordinate graph. So like the first one, you have a negative 12 plus 3. Well, a negative plus a positive, you just subtract, and you take the sign of the bigger number. So a negative 12 plus 3 is a negative 9. So I put my answer here in the x. A negative 3 plus 4. I have a negative and a positive, so I subtract. And I keep the sign of the bigger number. So 4 minus 3 is 1. And I keep the positive sign. So my first ordered pair is a negative, 9, and 1. Now, looking at our coordinates graph here, it doesn't have anything labeled. It just goes by 1. So if you guys want to take a second here, and we'll go 1, 2. Go ahead and label it with me. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10. Then I'm going to the right. Label that's my y-axis, and this is my x-axis. So I go, can't hardly see this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10. And this is x, and this is y. Okay, so I've got a negative 9 and positive 1. It's always x. And I want you guys to put x, comma, y at the top. X, comma, y. We can do that on all of these. It's always x, comma, y. Ordered pairs are always x, y. 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 Alright. So now we found our first ordered pair was a negative 9 and 1. So I go left to the negative 9, up to 1. Plot my point. Then I need to do the next problem. A negative 6 minus 3. This is keep. Do what? Change, change. Get that negative sign in there. So I have a negative 6 and a negative 3, which would make it a negative 9. Now we're adding. A negative 1 and a negative 3 would make a negative 4. So negative 9, over to the negative 9, down to a negative 4. Plot your point. And then when it says start, I want to connect those lines also. So I start with my first point, down to my second point. Then I go to my next number, a negative 11 plus 3. One's negative, one's positive, so it's 11 minus 3, and it's going to say a negative 8. I'm subtracting. I have a negative, so it's keep, change, change. So negative 1 plus a negative 5 makes a negative 6. So now I come down here. I go over to a negative 8, down to a negative 6. Combine my points. Go back up. I have a subtraction, so it's keep, change, change. So a negative 10 and a positive 3 makes a negative 7. A negative, and I'm just adding, so I don't do keep, change, change. So it's negative 9 and 2 makes a negative 7. So then I have to plot it. Negative 7, -7. Connect my lines. Subtracting, so it's keep, change, change. A -3 and a -3 makes a negative
No, 6, sorry.
6. Yeah, we're just adding.
Multiply.
0 minus 7, keep, change, change, so it's just a -7. Plot my point. Over to the -6, down to the -7. Connect my lines. 10 minus 14, keep, change, change. I have a positive and a negative, so I subtract and I get 4. Keep the sign of the bigger number, so it's a -4. Keep, change, change. So I have a -1 plus a -7 would make a -8. So then I go left to a -4, down to a -8. Connect my lines. 8 minus 10, keep, change, change. So I have a positive 8 and a -10, so that makes it a -2. A -2 plus a -6 make a -8. So I go over to the -2, down to my -8. Connect my lines. -1 plus 0 would be just a -1. Keep, change, change. A -13 and 4 makes a what's 13 minus 4? So it'd be a -9. So left 1, down to 9. Connect my lines. -5 plus 7. One's positive, one's negative, so I subtract them. I keep the sign of the bigger number, so it's 2. I'm adding here. A -4 plus a -5 makes a -9. So I go over now on my +2, down to a -9. And I'm going to connect my lines. I have a +5 plus a -1 makes a what? 4. Keep, change, change. So -10 plus a +2 would make it a -8. Over 4, down to 8. Oops. Connect my lines. Okay, do you see what I'm doing? And then it says stop. I think that means that's where you stop connecting. And then you'll connect these other ones to each other. You guys understand how to do the coordinate graph? Alright, now let's take a look at the rational numbers mystery lib activity. If we're adding fractions, I need to do what? Write them up and down, right? So I'm going to have, and you can squeeze it in, 1/5 plus a -1/2. What's my, and if you want to work into these spaces, that's fine. What's my common denominator? 10, so this is times 2. So I have 2/10, this is 10, so it's times 5. So I have a 2 plus a -5. A -5 and a +2 makes a -3, and my denominator is tenths. So a -3/10 is my answer, and I'm going to circle that. Yes.
Could we also work on like a separate sheet?
Yes, you can work on a separate sheet of paper. And then I'm going to turn it over, and my answer was Irish. So I'm going to say the Irish brought the tradition of jack-o'-lantern to America. Ancient Celtic people used to carve, let's figure out what number 1 is. So now if I have a fraction and a decimal, My answers are in what? Fractions, so I actually have to change my decimal to a fraction, so I would take 125 and put it over 1,000, cause it's 125 thousandths. I can reduce by what? 125, which would be 1 over 125 times what is 1,000? Huh? 8. So now I have 7/8 minus 1/8 is 6/8. Here's my answer. So then I'm gonna say on line 2, it was Lisa carved carrot. Yes?
You ever use it?
Oh, I guess I should, shouldn't I? Divided by 3. Oh wait, divided by 2, excuse me. So that is 3/4, so it's not carrots, my answer should be turnips. Looks like I have 10 push-ups to do. Man! Okay, do you guys see how we're doing that? So check your answers, these are all in fractions, so if they give you decimals, you have to change the decimal to a fraction. Go ahead, Tammy, you can.